We are waiting for a phone call from Representative Matt Gress, who should be calling us any moment. We are going to talk about the budget here. Some of the things, and obviously it's not a done deal, but the budget proposal and the budget negotiations with the governor's office will begin. And most people are familiar with this, but in the state of Arizona, just like many other states, we are required to balance the budget by constitutional directive. Meaning the governor has to sit down with legislative leaders. It will be the Speaker of the House and the Senate President, and they will hash out a budget. And those budget proposals, everybody has their wish list. Everybody has what they want in them. And so they are beginning this process. I shouldn't say beginning. This process is beginning to heat up because we're coming toward the end of the legislative session. Joining us to talk about that now from the Arizona House of Representatives is Representative Matt Gress. Thanks for doing this again.
Hey, good to be here.
Let's talk about some of the items that are in here. What are in your mind, what are the priorities in this budget? Are there certain things that are non-negotiables in the budget to you?
Well, this budget that will be introduced later today, it's structurally balanced. That's a non-negotiable. We need a structurally balanced budget, not a deficit budget like we've seen in Washington, D.C. It's also considered a law and order budget. And we've seen such unrest in L.A. and other places throughout the country. House Republicans are committed to providing more resources to our law enforcement to keep communities safe. It cuts waste. It deals with waste, fraud, and abuse, and it provides relief to Arizona families. So it's really built around the House Republican majority plan: public safety, economic opportunity, and limited accountable government, doing all of this without raising taxes.
Some specific things, and I'm bringing this up because I had a guest on earlier today. I'm sorry to put you on the spot with this, but I'm curious. I'm reading on one of these that there's a 5% pay raise for DPS officer and correctional staffs. But I talked with the head of the Troopers Association, and they say that they are 28% short in pay just to be competitive with some of the higher paying agencies in the state. And they're requesting 15%. And that's about half of what they actually need. They said they've lost over 300 officers in the last 3 years, or troopers in the last 3 years. And it's costing over $60 million to train those troopers for them to just walk away and go to other agencies. Is there room for more money to go to pay raises for DPS troopers, or is this 5% as high as it's going to be in this budget?
You know, obviously we want to do more for our troopers, and we have increased salaries for troopers by over 20% over the last several years in the budget. And there's more we can do. I think that the 5% is a good start, not only for our troopers, but for our correctional officers. But we're also investing in other areas. We're investing in $8 million in new vehicles for our troopers. We're investing in some of these rural DPS offices that need to be replaced and upgraded. And so there are a lot of other things that we're doing here for public safety. But this is a major investment in Department of Public Safety, corrections, and we're also providing some additional funding for our Department of Forestry and Fire Management. There's more we can do. I will not dispute that, Mike, but I think this is a really good down payment on and moving the ball in the right direction.
Yeah, and the reason why I asked is we just happened to have him. It just coincided with we had him on the show today, and it was a number that was in my head that I had just talked to him about it. So I was just curious to get your feedback on it. Let's talk about some of the others now. In negotiating with the governor, what have you seen anything from the governor's office yet on what their non-negotiables are? Is there already begun negotiation, or is this now the beginning phases where it's exchanged and then you sit down and talk?
Well, this is an unusual budget process in my experience at the Capitol negotiating budgets. And one of the things that I find unusual is when you send, what we do is we trade spreadsheets. The governor has a spreadsheet, the House Republicans have a spreadsheet, the Senate has a spreadsheet. And in this case, the House provided a spreadsheet to the governor and said, well, here's what we're willing to do. And usually the governor's office returns a counter proposal. We haven't heard anything. We've kind of, I feel like the House has been ghosted by the executive, but we're still here, and we're still willing to hear their thoughts, and I'm sure that they will supply suggestions as we continue to advance the budget. But we have tried to anticipate a lot of the needs in the executive budget. We kind of have a sense of what her spending plan is because she released her executive budget in January, and we've tried to put a lot of those items that we know are critical to the operations of Arizona into the budget. Things such as, corrections, our state hospital, supporting the Department of Education and kids. So those are, Department of Child Safety. Those are all things that we've tried to incorporate. One of the things that we know is Governor Hobbs's big priority is around child care, trying to provide more opportunities to build out and expand child care for working Arizona families. So I imagine the final budget proposal will have some of those elements in them, but we have to keep moving this ball forward because time is running out before the end of the fiscal year, which is June 30th.
The education and families portion of this budget, talking about enacting 2.5% in-state tuition cuts and a 3-year tuition freeze. Is that something you believe that is going to remain in there, or is that going to be a sticking point for the governor?
House Republicans want to provide relief to our in-state resident students. In just this last year, Arizona State University slapped, I want to say, a $380 surcharge on in-state students to generate more money. Now, the other universities didn't do that. We want to provide relief to our in-state students. Our Arizona public universities are first and foremost dedicated to serving our Arizona resident students. So that's important. It's about a $316 average cut in tuition, and we're freezing that tuition in place for the next 3 years. We're also providing funding to the universities in another pot of money to help them build out their capital infrastructure. For instance, Arizona State University wants to build a medical school. And so there's a pathway for us to do that by providing additional state resources that the universities can bond against to take on these larger capital purchases. So we're balancing providing relief to Arizona resident students while supporting the universities in their mission to expand research and critical education services like healthcare.
I appreciate you updating us on this. I know it's only been a quick phone call, and I'd like to have a deeper discussion as time moves forward and as these things become more clear and you get a response from the governor's office, because I think for people in Arizona, moving this forward and making sure that we've got our being fiscally responsible matters to all people. So I appreciate the update today, and I hope you'll come back and talk about it more.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mike, and let's get this done.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great talking to you again. That's Representative Matt Gress spending a few moments with us. And sorry about the brevity of conversation. I could talk to him for an hour about this, and maybe we can get somebody in for 30 minutes to have that discussion or more, to learn a little bit more what the priorities are from both sides of this budget negotiation. Well, I say all three sides, the House, the Senate, and of course from the governor's office as well.
Thanks for watching the Mike Broomhead Show. Catch up on Amazing Arizonans, a KTAR News podcast, and click the button in the middle to subscribe.